Well, hello. Wow, there's a lot more people than I thought there would be. Welcome to the Medieval Equestria panel. We will be discussing the... Yes, awesome. Yeah. Anyway, we will be discussing the main goals of how we're going about this game and what we are doing for this game and how things work behind the game, as well as doing some Q&A towards the end. So, right now you can see Aaron over here walking in circles with the pony, but so basically, for those of you who don't know what this panel is about or what this game is about, it is what is planning to be a open world RPG based off of medieval times and what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. We plan to make this as diveable as possible, so like you can feel like you're really in the game instead of just playing the game. Excuse me. But
right. So the original concept, what we had when we started thinking about creating this game project, as it originally started, it was just more of like a hobby thing to just bring life to just these characters that I was working with in a 3D environment. And what I wanted to do was be able to take all my favorite elements of various RPG games that I've played and be able to focus on expanding those elements that maybe felt were lacking in some RPGs. Some of those things would be, I want to be able to make it where the player can be really immersed into the environment by interacting with it and being able to do more than just like when you play some RPGs. You're just out, you're doing combat, you're doing all of these very intense and very like heroic things. But when you come back to the town, everybody's just kind of, they're like, oh, it's it's such and such, and then they're like, good for you, and then they just keep on going, and you're like, and then you could just be forever alone, sitting in a chair in the tavern, doing nothing else. So, what my goal, I wanted to be able to not only just maybe have slightly less emphasis on like out in the combat and stuff like that, and have more exploration and immersion into the world, and having more influence and interaction with things like taverns, other players, other NPCs, things like that. So to introduce everybody, I am. See, we have right here is Steven or Science Wuna.
Or Frisky.
Frisky, Hyena. He's got several names, but he is my designer, my go-to person for like, okay, I want to do this. How should this look? What should I do? Can I add this character? Things like that. And he'll be like, no, that's a crazy idea, or that's awesome. Keep going with that, stuff like that. And we also have my brother over here, Darstalex, who is my music composer. He does all the music and things like that for the game. At times comes, I have like a little trailer demo on YouTube, and he like whipped up that music in like a few hours that night because I'm like, dude, I need music. I want to release this, so I was like, give me music. And then down here we have my writer. Hello. Yes. The first one's like, hello.
You're not cool.
We're all not cool.
We're just a bunch of little people that hide in little dark corners making little games,
That's what I like to hear.
Thank you. Which door? This doorway right here? Yeah, go ahead, go through there.
The magical door.
The magical door.
Into darkness. Oh my goodness.
Go into the darkness.
Oh no.
Stairs, oh my goodness.
Stairs, ignore the stairs.
Look at the statue. It's unbelievable. My word.
This is how.
Yeah, but this game is actually being created in Unreal 4, which is currently the leading graphics engine of its time. And it's really impressive, as you can tell by the insane lighting that they do, especially the glare and bloom that they
all that
apply.
Stuff. It's awesome to the point where it's so much easier just for the developer than like myself. When I'm going like, all right, I want to make something look reflective. You could just go like, oh, I want it to be smooth, and it'll just go, okay, here's reflection too. It just gives it to you, things like that. It makes it so much easier for the developer to.
Like you could even see in the eyes reflections.
We also features a nice physics for like clothing, for like say the thing like for his little cape cloak thing. we have
Not that
over here.
kind of clothing.
Clothing.
Clothing. No.
Wait, what is it?
Afterwards. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Mr. Rabbit.
Yeah. Yeah, extra defense points for having that cape.
Mostly for the past few weeks before this convention, we were working on animation of just phasing between the types of movements you can do. For example, from standing to walking to trotting to cantering to galloping, then back to trotting with a little skid, and then back to stopping.
Is we basically have like transition animation for basically from any particular cycle, like trotting to walking, or to canter to gallop kind of thing, for each one.
Skidding and stopping is the most adorable thing.
I also have like little idle turn animations. I was joking with them to make like the 180 animation be some awesome backflip twist.
Intense. Explosions and fire and guns. The manliest of all video games.
America.
This will be the most American game.
America. America. America.
Sorry.
Allowed to have fun.
I know, it's just so much fun all the time.
But currently this is only a walking demo that you're seeing. You wish there was jumping. But there actually is jumping, but it's not fully animated, and we didn't think it was really pretty enough to be in this little walking demo. So,
Looked quite too silly.
well, you literally like jumped and then you just like hovered in one position to the ground. So it wasn't exactly jumping, but look at that ear twitch.
Do it, jump. Oh no, I know I'm jumping. Do jumping.
If you guys
Give the people what they want.
if you guys want, we could move back to an earlier development version and show you jumping. It's very
Yes, all right.
They
at
really
it.
want to see jumping.
Since you guys
They-
want to
they
see
must
a
when they
horse
want
going
jumping.
through the air so badly.
That's all they came for. Just
All you guys came for is just to watch it jump, not even movement,
must be
no.
able to jump.
No, the graphics don't matter as long as it moves.
As long as we have hopping horses.
Just Atari 64 graphics and a horse jumping. That's all you guys came for, right?
Hello,
Yes. Perfect. Yes, this is our game. It will be Horse Jump Simulator. You get to jump as many times as you can in a set amount of time. We'll be releasing soon. Wonderful. This is the way crazy. Stop moving the mouse. This is like the way early. Like when was this?
BabsCon. of course.
BabsCon. Actually, yeah,
BabsCon.
this was
BabsCon mascot.
Yes, but
Golden
this is
Gates.
the lovely early. What is this? This is still made in Unreal 4, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and of course
Just a
we have
different
jumping.
epic. Yeah, like
Well, that was slow motion. Jumping.
Have we
Jeez, you
Have
guys
we
really did come for
exceeded-
the jumping, didn't you?
have we exceeded your expectations?
You killed it. Slow motion. Look at how intense that is. Butterflying. That's the next hip thing, you guys. It's called butterflying. The goal is to jump on a butterfly and ride it.
It's like Butterfly Rider.
But yes, as you can see, it wasn't really pretty enough to be put in the front. Did those wings just like appear open? Okay. But yeah, as you can see, the jumping wasn't really pretty enough to be in this next one because, I mean, you float all the way to the bottom.
Like
and
almost ready to fly, but you can't just flap the wings.
Slowly. And touch the ground, yeah. But this was the before thing.
Yeah.
No.
Not yet.
Hopefully in the coming months we will actually be able to avoid the camera
In
and
your
fly.
imagination, yes, though. Imagination.
Yeah, like that little spread of the wings. Look, you can see stuff out of the cameras. Rave party.
I know. So it's like, yeah.
Yes, quite.
I mean, look, if you go out to the window, you can see a nice cityscape. Yes.
Oh yes, the wonderful. That doesn't look like a city. Oh, there it is. No.
So
Oh, she looks so annoyed. She's just like, why are
Really?
you doing
Why am
this
I
to
doing
me?
this?
Why am I being posed in front of all these people?
So, no, this is like before I even really figured out how to really handle animations. So it's like there's always like glitchy poppy things with like instantly snapping the movement and things like that. Those are those are the major improvements I made with the most recent demo.
Why you do invert?
Why do you can click the stick to make it?
What? You can?
Yes, this demo actually features being able to change from normal to inverted.
Oh wow. See, this just proves that when you upgrade to a new version, that doesn't necessarily mean the game is going to be better.
Yes. Because I have a demo that was about like almost like a year old now, and you could go around as like a Fleur-like model in this black dress. You go around and you could like levitate crate boxes with magic and stack them, and then throw boxes at them to knock them over. Last year, yes, BronyCon last year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So where we are. So some of the new things that we're gonna have to do very soon.
Keep it PG.
Just like you reach out and go boop.
Oh, do you still have that little sliding around on ice if you back up fast enough? No, it looks better on the new version.
Yeah.
Here, go ahead and put the new version.
All right, on
back
the
on.
new version.
Put the fancy version. What was that?
What was that?
When will this game be available to the people? Like, when will it come out in stores?
Definitely not for a while.
In stores now.
Yep. Yep. We will be releasing it with a package, Half-Life 3 included.
Yes.
We got exclusive rights to the game.
Yes, you in the white dress.
Curious, since I am actually studying this field, how big is your animation crew slash like rigging and programming crew? That are
You're looking at it.
Yeah, looking at it.
correct. Also, you guys are talking a lot about like the special effects that this can do, and you know, once the models have been created. But does how does the Unreal Engine compare to, like, my background is in Maya.
Right,
So
yes, and that's
when it
exactly mine
comes to
too.
when it comes to modeling, in comparison, I hate modeling in Maya. I can't stand it myself.
Especially like model building in Maya, it can be very
Model building
difficult.
in Maya from the ground up.
Yes, that's why I did a little bit of work in an indie studio, and they let me discover ZBrush. And after I discovered that, that was awesome. That allowed me to just sculpt my models, make all the textures by painting directly on them with the masking, with all the high resolution modeling. So that made everything kind of possible, because doing it polygon by polygon in Maya is just so tedious. So I use Maya to rig the character and perform all the animations and set up things like the physics and
Physics.
yes, the video.
That's pretty stylish.
Ponies from the show.
Oh, no, due to the fact that we are currently, and we currently will continue to avoid any sort of infringement of Hasbro's property or using any of their intellectual property.
Slow clap.
Yes?
Slow.
When you said Warriors Die,
That would be really cool, but I mean, it would be kind of it would be what is the-
Disorienting?
Yeah, disorientating.
In
'cause, I
third
mean,
person, because you'd move your head and you'd be like.
like the
orbiting
camera
your
would
character.
pan way around, so you'd feel like your head is going like this. So
Because I have checked out, I can't think of his name, it's the Oculus Rift demo.
we do actually have a person that is that offered to do Oculus Rift testing. So we probably will look into it, but there is no real promises at this time. You back there with the scout. It's, no, maybe. Well,
that's actually kind of awesome.
limit them to the sea. That would be kind of.
I hadn't thought, but that's like a whole new realm I hadn't
Yeah,
even
that
thought
would be
of.
a
You could
whole
just
new
be
realm, though.
underwater sea
DLC.
pony adventures. You have to have a certain green
$10
pony.
DLC.
Yeah.
DLC.
Yes, we will have
Yes.
Pegasi with full flight capabilities, as well as you can perform a sonic boom.
That would be awesome.
In the coming months, we actually were thinking about releasing some sort of demo to you guys, so you can sort of get an idea of how the gameplay works and just sort of controls and stuff like that. We hopefully will be finished with character development in terms of races and types of ponies you can play as.
Yes, we might even include. We've been toying around with like more than just the 3 pony races. Maybe you could, be zebras, perhaps. There's some great ideas out there. It's like
We're getting
freezy ponies. Woo! You just
Move
float around.
so
That's gonna use the
slowly.
slow motion jumping.
Oh my gosh.
Bad ponies.
Oh my
Bad
gosh, that would be
ponies.
adorable.
Freezing.
On the topic of actually,
You way back there
way
shaking
in
your
the back,
fingers. You're
it's
like, I must ask
holding
this
your hand
question.
super. We're trying to.
That would be my writing.
Yeah, that would actually be.
What am I allowed to say?
You're on the floor.
Nothing. Okay, I can't say anything. Sorry.
So. Right. So basically, it's interesting. Since I guess maybe in my viewpoint from the development stuff, I've had this strong focus on creating, or I guess the back of my mind, the real immersive and real just idyllic environment and things like that, and trying to cross this boundary between. I love like some RPGs. You have like the combat and stuff. It allows you to be really epic, really awesome. At the same time, I also love the idyllic and then all that stuff. So it's been like more of like, instead of focusing, I mean, we've been working on story, but like what we're really trying to hammer out at the moment is like, okay, how
Just
are
me
you going to
jotting
make
down notes.
the blend between this idyllic, pretty environment and into maybe a darker, more interesting combat world, things like that, perhaps.
Actually, when it comes to story, we're trying to avoid pure story-driven gameplay, because I mean, we don't want the player to feel like they're always trying to get towards a set goal and continue to go on through each quest to complete, become the master, like, you're gonna become Dova King after you complete this, or you're just, and also that's another thing, we don't want you to feel like you're that special one, Dova King, and we're trying to make you more as a part of the community in the game, and by community I don't mean multiplayer, I mean like NPCs. Yeah. This guy way in the back over there, because he's been raising his hand for a long time. Yes, you. Hold on, say that one more time.
What's the state of the proposals of gameplay? All right, so currently what we have in terms of gameplay essentially is kind of like a walk-around demo, right? But I could see very near in the future, only maybe a matter of months, being able to have. So the first focus is going to be creating essentially a pony creator thing. Basically, ironing out how we can create like modular clothing, so you can have various outfits and kind of mix and match design your outfits like a kind of a normal RPG. Figure that system out, and then create an interactive system for the user or the player to be able to customize and choose like mane and tail styles and their colors and patterns and things like that. So once we have something like that, then it would be just a matter of creating various gameplay mechanics for each of the races in terms of like their abilities and how they can move, how they can interact with the world, and things like that. It's kind of it's really exciting because you can have like just anything, you can just brainstorm and think of stuff, because you could be like, because you know you're gonna get there, so by the time you get there, you're like, oh, there's all these things I want to be able to put in. So it's very cool, but very hard to describe what we've kind of planned, because it could be so huge all the time.
In terms of like actual character creation, think of like as close to Oblivion's character creation as possible without making your character look like a giant red square. Pick someone.
The white unicorn, yes.
Wildlife is definitely, probably, more than likely a possibility.
Yeah.
So yes.
We have like I have this whole like living world, yet there's nothing living in it.
Yeah. Everything is
except for
dead.
the plants and the ponies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We need the butterflies. They will take you places.
Butterflies will take you to be a god.
You just have a chariot of butterflies you stand on. Those are your platforms.
Fluttershy.
Yeah.
You. Right there in the, yes, you.
I hear you saying like there's like the game is going to be based around the community. What about adding do y'all have plans on adding something like mini games, jobs?
Oh, of course.
Definitely, because that's like one of the first focuses, because we want to make it, we want to be able to have interaction with all the things. Like I would want to be able to walk, like mosey on into a tavern and be able to play like pub games and things like that. So you play little games, you could have your ale, things like that, interactively tell stories, play on have too much ale, go onto the stage and play some horrible music, things like that. Just torture your fellow ponies. Possibility. I've been like, I want it, and he was like, no.
Oh my gosh.
Because I do want to have companion characters, like traveling companions, to be able to accompany your character.
There's so many of you with questions. We should just make this entire panel about answering questions. The programmer for Legends of Equestria. Yes. Oh, no problem.
We went to your panel as well.
In the other scene in your little jumping demo, we had cameras, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have those in the medieval times. Is this like a test scene?
Please
Yes,
note
basically,
that
all the environments you've seen so far are test scenes. We still have yet to build our own worlds, I think. So that's also, again, another one of the things that we're going to do after we got
Alien
the characters
ponies.
working, is building environments, which is really awesome that Unreal Engine is still, as a subscriber, is constantly evolving, and the next thing they're going to release, hopefully very soon, is how to design and create large landscapes. So that's going to be very cool. That's exciting for me, because then I can start going landscaping, and then towns, and then foliage. It's going to be very cool. Okay. How to choose so many hands. You up here, green shirt.
Two questions. One, how big do you plan to make the game world?
well, for a playable demo at first, we're gonna restrict it to maybe like something like a small town, but in final development, think more towards Skyrim, maybe less.
Ish. Like a game that really strongly influences me in terms of, say, the environment design and a couple on various elements was Dragon's Dogma. I really like that. That was one of my particular things. Like I loved like how when you first started, it was really eerie at night, and things like that, and how the world was built. Of course, kind of it's open worlded, but slightly bounded in that you can't go everywhere. So you're not like climbing mountains like in Skyrim. You're like, I'm gonna get my butterfly and climb up these mountains, you know.
What year is the game very expected, like, very estimated? What year do you estimate it to be released? Not saying, oh, please,
Right.
you know.
Right, but
Yeah,
it's a matter of, I guess, how much scope we find in more of when we start reaching more of the end goal, how much scope we want, how big the project will be. So it could, it could be as soon as like maybe a year and a half, 2 years or something like that to, I mean, it all depends. It's like once I get really into it and you start knowing like, oh, things start moving really quickly, you've got all these assets built, all you have to do is create some animations and things like that. You could start expanding it and making it larger very
Yeah.
quickly.
Like, we don't want to give you guys like some crazy long date, so you'll just go, oh, it's just gonna go down the drain. So, yeah, really. we don't want this to be. We don't want this game to turn into Duke Nukem. Yeah.
Might take so long.
God.
Yeah, really. We're gonna change this into just a pure Q&A because there's so many people with questions. So we're actually gonna start a line. So if you guys could all just start lining up over there if you have a question.
Yay, I can actually
And half
do
the
that
crowd
now.
gets up and goes to line up.
Oh my god.
Question, suggestion. So I think
Okay, mind you, keep this short. We got a half an hour to get through this one.
I am coming up to the front with the wireless
this
mic
is
there.
awesome.
There's so many people.
So much attention from just a little hobby, just on the side of the time.
don't rub them up too much.
Okay, keep it short. Okay. Then with the way you can get to
How you doing?
All right. Oh, little ear twitch.
You're twitching.
Ear twitch. Try.
Actually. Oh, very good. Testing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
You good?
Works.
Oh, yeah. So, first of all, looking great. Keep up the good work. So what I want to ask you guys is, are you going to implement voice acting in the final product, or are you going to keep it, more in style with older style games with just being based on text?
Definitely voice acting.
Yeah,
I actually, in the
definitely
previous version of this engine, they had a internal program called Face Effects that they had licensed with the software. So I had already been, all required was like an audio file from a voice actor, and it would analyze it and start animating the pony's face to it. And I had that working. So now all I need to do now is to get that back up and running is just find that software. I could get that software again, but I'm going to research and have maybe more powerful animation software, and then I could just use that in addition to voice actor voices. So that's definitely what I want to do that in the near future.
You're welcome.
I mean, who wouldn't want a pony who sounded like
Yeah,
this,
voice acting.
narrating your every move?
Hello.
Like how with the Oblivion or Skyrim you can define specific facial features, how would you go about doing that with the cutie mark?
So you could have a simple system where it's like you could have maybe like say upload an image if you wanted to, just that way you can have your own custom image as a cutie mark. But is your question more in beyond that and actually like adjusting its position or attributes about it, or?
How would you design the cutie mark itself? Say like Fluttershy's butterflies or my guy is just a record. How would you design it?
I would think the easiest way would be to set up a system where the player could be able to input their own picture design, which would be the easiest thing. So it would go on there and then overlay and be nicely transferred onto the character's texture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is your team planning on using a reputation system within the game?
That would actually. Thank you for the idea. We will now use that.
Okay,
So you say the game won't be focused on big, like huge, like a big, huge quest storyline. Will it be more of a focus on smaller scale quests, and will you be looking into taking on volunteer writers and voice actors for that sort of thing?
Yes, I'm thinking it probably would be Skyrim, like in that you have like lots of little storylines and quests and things like that that you could receive from other characters, and I would like to have, since we have such an awesome fandom, so like there's no lack of abundance in voice actors. I would want just like a whole bunch of voice actors to do all kinds of characters and things like that. So
Instead of like Oblivion or Skyrim where they have one voice actor voice everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
that'd be quite impressive.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Hi. Hi, Wuna. Okay, so my question is, what kind of inspiration have you guys had to make this game, or why did you decide to start making it?
Well, like he said, Dragon's Dogma was a big inspiration for him to actually start on this, and we're drawing actual stuff from, we're using concepts from games like Skyrim and these other big RPGs, as well as using some of the classics like Legend of Zelda, and all putting them into this game to make it more of a better RPG.
Maybe we should say our personal reasons to get a game.
What?
The personal reasons that we got into it ourselves.
Oh, well, I mean, if you want personal reasons, Ocarina.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, why don't we?
Okay. So I heard around the stable that you guys might be doing multiplayer soon. How's that
What?
going to work? Yes? No? No?
I guess
no.
maybe that was me.
Maybe.
I mean,
Well, I was just curious, if you were, what do you think you would do with your game? Since it's so RPG based, probably progress would be the biggest thing to stop you with multiplayer.
Right. I think, I guess if I wanted to do multiplayer, some of my favorite things about multiplayer is being able to share the experience and accomplishments of what you do with your character with your friends in that world. If I was able to do this, if I was able to make a multiplayer, I'd want to make it where you have a smaller set of friends kind of thing, so you can invite them into your session. And do it kind of like how, best description would be like Minecraft, how you open up a server, you have a world that's hosted, and then you and your friends can be in that world, so that way you can interact and change things in the world and have that affect all of the players' experience. So that way, if you have a homestead here, you have these companions, or you've done these quests, your friends can be somewhere real far away and they have their own place, their own lives, and they can hear about that, and they can travel and go see your place and things like that, kind of thing where so you can kind of share your experiences and accomplishments.
Bye, Techner.
All right, since there's going to be a whole bunch of different races, my question is that at each race, are they going to be their abilities race specific?
Okay, this is something that I've actually wanted to talk about. I've been waiting for this question. In terms of the different races, we will be having race-specific things. Like, for example, Pegasi, unicorns, and earth ponies, magic, flight, and speed. Well, earth ponies have, the biggest problem, though, we have is with earth ponies because they've always had, a natural, underpowered sense to them. So what we're going to try and do is keep it so that they're all equally leveled instead of, unicorns master race or something like that.
The reason why I was asking that is because I was kind of hoping an Earth Pony Berserker or something like that.
Earth ponies will actually, what we're thinking is make them naturally stronger as well as faster and
More endurance and whatnot.
endurance, survivability, as well as better farming capabilities and such.
Yeah. I can imagine if we did some type of a combat system, you could figure out an interesting way to either use what we maybe refer to natural combat, where you didn't use weapons, but you used the pony's own physical attributes to attack things. Some of that you could have, where a earth pony could be really fun to play because they have really cool ways to inflict blunt damage to the characters. It could be very what would be the word for they're not just merit. They freaking jump and do awesome stuff.
Or acrobatic.
Yes, very acrobatic with the designs.
Or, just go full armor and go Leroy Jenkins on everything.
Yes. Hi guys, you decided to drop the name Skyrim and said that you basically are hoping to do the world of a similar size, which of course, me having played quite a lot of open world games, Oblivion, Fallout 3, New Vegas, Skyrim, basically it would be fun to have a large world, but since you're gunning for immersion, it would be sort of a letdown to walk over an empty world. How do you intend to basically populate the world in a way that it feels immersive? Because if you, with such a small team, it would be quite a challenge to create a game like Skyrim.
A lot of work from me.
Another one of the ways was I was thinking how in Skyrim it's basically a boundless open world. You could really walk anywhere if you could, get the jump enough and break the physics enough. You can go anywhere. I'm thinking but if you played something like Dragon's Dogma, where they essentially kind of have like guided walls where it's either like it's cliffs with water and things like that, so it's still this all open world and thing, but you don't have like all of this empty space. You have more purpose for all the routes and things like that. It's more of transitioning to different areas and things like that that might allow you to have more detail packed in, so you can have it just more visually aspects. So that which would like those vistas across the water and things like that would give you nice eye candy as well.
Also, I'm using Skyrim a lot because it's really easy to relate to in terms of RPGs. I'm not like using it because, oh, I love Skyrim. I actually hardly ever play Skyrim. Don't shoot me. But but yeah, the Skyrim name drop is just because everyone really knows what Skyrim is and how to relate to it a lot. So. Also, this isn't just like a set team here. We are accepting people to be a part of this team. In fact, we have cards up here if you guys want to grab one that tell you our website. So yeah, feel free and grab one and shoot us a message applying for something.
Definitely need a good concept artist.
Yes, yes, we need concept artists.
Yeah, like currently, like of all the skills I have, starting with a blank piece of paper and going, I'm gonna come up with like this outfit design right here, or like I want to make a cape and stuff. I'm like, no. So then like, okay, fine, I just have to go in 3D and just start shaping things and stuff and just taking. So those would be so concept artists that could just do little sketches and stuff would be very awesome. Just feel like.
One of the biggest things I have with RPGs is they don't reward playing as an NPC, like farming, blacksmithing. Will you implement something into your game that actually rewards you for playing as an NPC or a basic ordinary person, and not reward you just for doing the exploration or the combat?
I would say definitely, because I think that's probably one of the more like the strongest focus in the game. Is you want to feel like you're immersed and kind of living in this world. An NPC like living would be something I would like to be able to do quite a bit of. Yeah.
I've heard you guys talk about combat several times. I was wondering how you were going to implement various weapons, such as, for example, an earth pony using a bow.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by. So
I can understand.
You're talking about how we would implement the various types of weaponry.
Yes, like a earth pony using a bow, for example.
Right. I was toying around with this idea of, because I want the magic, the world, to have this ambient magic in it. You know, like how when you played Zelda and you were in like I think I'm probably not gonna pronounce this right, the Kori Forest when you first started. You have like this magic ambient poofy dust stuff that coalesce around you and stuff. I love that. It's always stuck with me all this time. I want to be able to recreate things like that and have it where each pony race could potentially have like their own form of that type of magic they can communicate with, and have a certain amount of magic influence using that type of thing. It's like, like Metachlorians of the Force or something, where like they could interact with it, almost like you're asking that to do things, but something like that. But so that kind of thing could be used to lend like earth ponies or non-unicorn ponies the ability to say have like levitation type of magic, so you can hold swords and shields and things like that to be able to do that. And say like bows or something like that could potentially not be necessarily be shooting physical projectiles, but just be merely a focus for that magic to coalesce into and be fired in a directed shot.
Magic arrows.
Magic arrows. And so you could do very colorful and very, you get to make use of this engine's very powerful particle things. And, it can do lit particles and be very pretty.
Quite an awesome project you're all doing today.
Thank you.
Yes. So was thinking about class progression and such. Like you can give like a Earth Pony or Pegasi assassin techniques. Oh, it's pretty much like the gentleman in the cape and then green shirt that has been talked about lately.
Right. So you're talking about like a.
I mean, yeah, like either like prankster or like an assassin who throws like.
I see. So like
the shuriken-shaped
specializations
cookie
in-
dough or something like that. Since you're not like making like blood or such like that.
Yeah.
So
class specializations.
Right. So that's actually a very interesting thing to do. I think if I did like class specializations and stuff, what I want to do is maybe have that done a little bit more in the background and have it this kind of like where you could. It's basically you have all these areas your opponent you practice their skills and get good at, and you can actually see like the struggle of the character themselves getting good at it. Kind of thing. As they better at it, they can get better performance, and then they can do things easier. So basically, you can simulate this second nature type of thing coming across. And I'm not sure. I guess I haven't given it a ton of thought about how if we'd actually have like class-based things where you have like like each class would have specific skills that are only available in that class and things like that. I'm not sure. I'm sure like we'll figure that, elaborate that on as we deliberate down the road.
Really quickly, the ground is actually vibrating, right? I'm not crazy.
No, you're not.
Okay, I'm like sitting up here and like, what is making the ground vibrate?
A little disoriented.
Yeah.
Someone has a face cannon or something.
It's Pinkie Pie, don't worry about it.
I have a couple of questions. My first one is, since you guys don't really have like an overarching story thing, and it's mostly going to be like little quest lines here and there, like this guild, that guild, this person tells you to go fetch this thing from the other side of the world, will it actually come down to players, because it is medieval, will it start developing where other players will do things like farmers will start giving food to like adventurers who will need it, or like the cooks who make food for the adventurers, and will start turning into like its own little self-contained little feudal system?
You mean
Like,
the economy?
yeah, will it start becoming a player economy rather than an NPC economy?
The whole concept of this game, we're actually going with the whole everything you do affects the game.
Small impact.
Everything that you do will have a small impact on the game, and your character as well. Like, for example, if you want your adorable squeaky bat pony to be adorable, squeaky, and a bat pony, you can do that. However, if you want your psychopathic, crazy screwball to be feared by everyone, you can do that as well.
I think it'd be awesome.
Shush.
I think it'd be awesome to basically be able to, like, you could be an explorer, things like that, but you could also have like a vocation, a reason to be doing that. You could be a traveling sales pony, or be like Trixie. You go around and goes on for ponies, things like that. So you could learn particular talents or magic skills, or how to influence that ambient magic in a way which can be entertaining, or have more of like, you can think about like what would be more of a non-hero's life in a medieval times. But you could have maybe like more fantastical vocations, things like that. So you could just be so it could just be real drawing in for the player. So you could be, rather than being like worrying a lot about stats and how the characters, like how strong I am so I can go defeat these enemies, it's more of like you're just being so enveloped in the world and the life and feedback you get from like the characters and their reactions to you and things like that.
I had a second question too, just really quick. Since we have all these races that are going on, and because this is medieval, just a quick question: are Alicorns going to be left alone completely, like not even mentioned, or would they be like a mythical figure, or would they, like in the canon, would they be a thing?
We're gonna actually avoid input of Alicorns in terms of playable characters, but as an NPC, we will make them as a more of a deity sort of figure.
Yeah.
Story-wise, it really constricts you. Like,
I know, I'm sorry you can't have your red and black Alicorn bat pony changeling OC.
Hey, yeah, I was wondering if you were going to implement some sort of leveling system like Fallout or Skyrim, where you level up different abilities for using them more often, and if so, how you would prevent that from destroying the whole effect of integrating yourself with the NPCs, because like in Skyrim, you just walk back into Whiterun, and you're like level 40, and you're just like, I'm better than all of you.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough one. That would be influenced a lot whether or not if we decided to pursue like a more Skyrim-y aspect where you did more, take a position of more of a hero kind of thing, where your skills pertain more to like being badass, instead of maybe being mastering the talents, almost like everyday talents, or like it's a very interesting field to start expanding on, to be thinking about, because it had two sides of the coin of trying to make it where you're not necessarily in a hero position, but then also to be able to have these skills that could be something that could be very impressive and very enjoyable, versus where I could I could squash this whole army by just summoning a rain of asteroids, just meteors or whatever, rain things down. So and then you're just like, I'm better than everybody because look what I can do. But I think if we did a skills thing, it might be where it's slightly more in the background. You wouldn't be completely obvious to you. You would be. It would let you know it by. You distracted me. By being more hidden in the background in the pony's expression of being able to do it, or like you would be limited to say, like if you were a unicorn, you could only levitate so many objects at one time, and you could have a thing where you can be like a certain amount of concentration, and then something distracts you. You could maybe fail a couple magic on a couple of things or something like that because you didn't have enough attention to be casting that much magic at one time. So you could have like things like that. So, but you would be, instead of being stats letting you know, be more of like the behavior of the character and the limitations you kind of would feel.
Okay, so I had a question and a statement. My question is, well, everybody's been talking a lot about like the different races and how they're going to work. So my question pertained to zebras and how you might think how they might work in the game.
Alchemist. Yes, we're zebras. We're gonna zebra. The difference between like a zebra and a normal pony will be mostly that they live off of a lot. Well, they live a lot off of nature and more of a spiritual sense, and most of the stuff they get or they do comes from nature.
And they probably would have a certain advantage or be able to exert a certain amount of control over the type of nature that you'd find, like saying like the Evergreen Forest, where it's this more of an uncontrolled, self-reliant nature. Yes, whereas other earth ponies have more of the ability to influence the kind that they can control and be able to make things happen with their type of magic. Where zebras more of able to make use of the different type of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for example, like some characters that or ponies that might not be able to exactly tame some creature will be tameable by a zebra because they're more in touch with how they live.
Right. And my statement was, your lighting is beautiful.
Yes.
It's also blinding.
The engine takes most of the credit for that.
Like,
it is awesome.
It's like better than most AAA games that I've seen. It's wonderful.
It's such a pleasure to work with this next gen environment that they let the people, the public, have this and play with it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Explosions.
Yes, we will have massive explosions in upcoming demos.
Hello.
Hello.
Will there be any type of multiplayer like co-op or massively multiplayer? Also, will there be first person?
I'm pretty sure he's against first person. I've brought this up with him a couple of times. I'm not sure if he wants to go with it.
Technically, first person isn't that hard to implement. Actually, it'd be a lot easier because you don't have to worry about creating this pony avatar that looks all pretty. You could just be like, I'm a pony. I'm looking through a lot. You see a muzzle maybe or something like that. But I guess
there's your first person for you.
It's like the hair.
Emo pony.
So, but I mean, it could be. I mean, I suppose if I had a lot of people ask me to do that, I could do that. But I guess I've always liked the third person aspect. So then you could. Easier. That's true. That would be very good for Oculus Rift. But I liked being able, because for me, I've always loved like customizing outfits and making my character all like different all the time. Like whenever I play like Grand Theft Auto or something, the first thing I do when I get in there is like I change my outfit. I'm like, dude, change my outfit. Ah, I look awesome. I mean, I go crazy. But yes, that's one of the things I liked about the third-person aspect.
Yeah.
What about multiplayer?
Okay, right. So multiplayer, it's interesting. I think if I did multiplayer, I'd want to do it like a cooperative type of thing. But so far, I'm currently not necessarily planning on it until I've gotten much farther along with the game.
Thank you.
Hello. I was just thinking, I'm looking at how well the game runs on your computer, and I'm noticing you're running an Alienware. I would just think, what are the specs you're looking at for an average, let's say an average PC? How slow would this make it?
What are you running on anyway?
It's a little hard to answer that, but I can give you the specs that this is running on. And so we're looking at, basically the primary workhorse would be the GPU, and it's a NVIDIA GTX 580 mobile graphics card since it's in a laptop. So anything like newer generation than that, or you probably could get away with like probably somewhere in the 500 series you'd want to stay with that, and then just like a second or third generation I series.
Your best bet is checking out Unreal 4's minimum requirements.
That's true. That would be a good place to start. They would definitely know. More testing.
If the game's as big as you're planning to make it, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose maybe being indie, we're not necessarily the best at optimizing it to be, as smoothly runnable as possible in terms of like too many polygon counts and things like that. But try our best to make it as efficient as possible.
Oh, and
yeah, just CPU melting. I think I overheated my computer like the first con day because I just didn't let it give it a break, and it's just like 2 hours in, it's just like, no, I'm not playing anymore.
Something that is actually has been brought up several times. If we're definitely pushing this towards Steam for a final release, but if we have enough like sponsorship and supporters and backers, we definitely will try to get this on the Xbox Store and PlayStation Store. Because like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are meant for this next generation graphics.
All right. My question is, are we going to be able to make like customizable cutie marks, or is it going to be a select bunch of designs that we can choose from, place them customizable, similar to the tattoo creation in Far Cry 3?
Think like, well, for cutie marks, seeing as this is going to start off as, well, on Steam, think more like leaning towards the Team Fortress series and stuff like that, where you can upload your own cutie mark as a PNG and like have it positioned on the pony's flank and cutie mark.
We could have like a modding community that would.
We're not cool enough for that.
We're not cool enough for that.
Thank you.
Will there be mod support, and if so, how open will it be to the modder?
Right after I said that. I think the hardest thing about it is, I mean, that would be awesome to be able to do, but I guess it's funny, being a game designer, I'm not really a modder. So I'm not exactly sure what goes into being able to make something moddable and what I would need to do, say from the fact of just having the entire game just open. Like you just give the Unreal project to you and then you could just do anything you wanted to it. Yeah. You might have to create like a toolkit that lets you go like, okay, I could add animations to this thing or things like that. I'll have to see what goes into doing that because I might have to like construct this whole thing to do that. It might be not feasible. I'm not sure. I'd like to be able to make it moddable.
Or the community can have some input.
What kind of enemies are we looking to be battling in this? Like particularly, will we be able to buck a centaur in the face?
We're mostly focusing on just the beauty of the game right now and not as much of combat and enemies. But we'll definitely be like, there's gonna be more than just ponies to be there, but we definitely will be implementing combat sooner or later, but just we're focusing on other things right now.
But definitely thinking up things though. Don't worry.
I'd just like to say good evening to you all, and
My question is, I know a lot of people have been asking about the different races and creatures and things like that. And since you guys stated earlier that you guys don't want to go against the Hasbro's copyright laws, will you be implementing races and creatures sort of similar to them, but staying away from the copyright laws?
Honestly, like most of the things that Hasbro uses for enemies aren't their copyright. They're just basic medieval lore that they're using. So
right, well, essentially, they own their character's style, like how they create it and things like that, because they basically take these creatures from like stories and things like that, and they create these mythical creatures.
Yeah,
we could
ours-
basically make our own spin of those same mythical creatures. Like
Ours would still look different, but you can't copyright manticores and griffins. That's a part of, ancient religious
it's a part
mythology.
of the history of our culture.
Yeah.
So it's been around so long. But, their particular characters, of course.
Thank you.
So, are you going to put in different graphic settings, or is it going to stay set?
Well,
I
Unreal
know that
actually.
the engine's actually very nice in that it's fairly easy to scale it, kind of thing. I'll have to look. I want to put in a menu system where you can set the system thing, like control how much the shadowing quality, like a standard computer game. You can set the quality settings. That's also a good plus why having it on consoles. Then you can have set hardware, and you can just go, okay, let's get to max it out, and then everybody can play it the same. So that would be a goal, though. But definitely have the settings control.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, well, kind of following up from the talk about graphics, let me start by saying this is probably the best looking game that I've seen all year.
Thank you.
Far surpassing anything that's come out of the AAA, even like a recent example being Watch Dogs. This just throws that out of the water. But on that subject, the concern that's kind of bugging me right now is, will it be able to retain this kind of immensely beautiful graphical fidelity, given that it's going to be a massive open world?
When I said we're taking concepts from Legend of Zelda, think of like how Legend of Zelda is pretty much open world, but the open world is divided into sections as to use less or push less onto the
You can almost
graphics
think that's
card.
kind of like a bounded open world where you can go anywhere you want, but it's just slightly shorter. Instead of like where Skyrim, you could go anywhere, so you kind of have like procedurally generated terrain and stuff. It's kind of empty, but just with foliage everywhere.
Yeah, that would be called like modular game design, where you download an area when you go into another village or something.
Yeah.
But it will feel seamless.
Yeah, it would keep
You won't see
it would keep the
like what
the graphics.
I see.
Similar.
Borderlands was like I'm not super familiar with it. That's like. Right. 2 minutes. Okay. Maybe not necessarily like that, but more like I think the best example I have is like I want to go towards like the Dragon's Dogma type of style, where you have different sections, but it's like a bounded open world.
What kind of like currency will you have in the game?
Bits. I guess, yeah. Coins.
Bits. Yeah.
It's like-
That's about it. Maybe like some barter system or something, but that's about all we got.
I'm sure we might evolve on that.
Yeah.
But bits are so far.
Yeah. Thank you.
Will there be a mechanic for players who don't want to be in the front line, but more like supports like bards and healers?
Yes.
Where they get to
Definitely.
pick a frontline person in front of them?
Yes.
Companions.
I think so.
Think
Yeah.
companions. Yes.
In most games that have companions, the companions are weaker, and much less
We're gonna
intelligent.
try and make it so that like you can either be supportive for your companion or your companion can support you.
Yeah, 'cause you're
that
like-
sort of thing.
Yeah, because I can see your point of like the companions just are not doing what you want because your AI is not right. But yeah, we'll try to smooth that as much as possible. Maybe that's why the combat might be difficult focus. It's like the secondary thing.
All right, thank you.
Do you think you might be looking for volunteers later on to like write quests, stuff like that? Because I mean, I was at another panel for another game and just like asking about would you still
want
be
to
looking
work on
for
the writing staff?
Yeah, I mean, like
we accept volunteers, like I said.
Take
our
a
project up
card.
here, so
I'll put my email on the back, and you can contact me. And
he'll send you a haiku of information of how to contact.
Okay.
We're actually out of time right now. So
But,
I'm sorry, you guys.
We'll stand over there and you can ask us questions.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be like in the corner. Feel free to come up to us and ask us questions. We'll also have cards, and we are actually selling posters to support the game. We'll sign them if you want us to. But yeah, thank you very much, you guys.
Yes, thank you.